gentlemen, welcome back to Competitive Speed Series. It's yet another round of racing.
What's going to happen in turn 1?
4, 5 red lights here in Shanghai.
They will need an even bigger miracle.
This is completely flipped on its head.
Now the gloves have come off.
You will not believe your eyes.
Oh, into the wall! For the first time, EVE have won a race.
They have beaten the unbeatable team title for TF10. They are back on top.
Good evening and welcome to a competitive speed series. We're here for the Canadian Grand Prix. The business end of the season is really kicking in now, and let's have a quick look at the standings because it's a huge moment here in competitive speed series. It's really Shazoo's to lose, and they are slowly slipping away towards the clutches of ET8 Esports. And well, we've had a little bit of ebbing and flowing between the two teams at the moment, and at the moment the pendulum swings the ET8 way, and that's not something unheard of, let's say, but we do have very shortly the qualifying for the Canadian Grand Prix to happen upon us. But it's not just the battle for first place. The battle for fourth place is heating up with FRT, TF10, and you could even say QRT involved in that as well. Alien Motorsport, AMS team, just nipping at the heels of IRT, AMR as well. RSC do have a race ban for tonight, as does, I believe, FRT as well. Let's make sure I got the right information. Yeah, FRT and RSC with race bans tonight. That's not ideal for those teams, but I suppose let's hit on the track, and we should have maybe someone coming through. Let's go then and have a look at Quantum, who is just coming through the back straight now, the Casino Straight as it's called, or aka Droit to Casino if you want to go down the full French routes. But here is Quantum then heading through into the Wall of Champions, the Quebec Wall as it's also known as, but coming down at the start, finish straight then. Here comes Quantum. What can they do? Can they produce something of a lifeline for this Kick Sauber team to get them really going for it tonight? Well, obviously only one Kick Sauber, and well, they need all the points they can, but looking at it, really only 3 drivers tonight here in Competitive Speed Series will miss out on points. And that's the drivers that will finish 16th, 17th and 18th. So it's a little bit more chance for drivers to get points this evening. AMS will be pretty happy with that. The Ollie Hornby and Aaron will really push on to try and get as many points for the Alien Motorsports team, as will AMR Dom and AMR Maxim for the AMR team, just to get them off towards the bottom spot. Obviously the RSC team occupying that one at the moment, but Quantum past the hairpin, down the back straight, so to speak, into the Wall of Champions chicane, turns 12 and 13, a little bit of stepping out on the back end of the tyres, but here comes Quantum's times. It's a 108.655. Dirk, let's see what they can do, hoping for a better evening tonight than they had on Friday night in WR Console Tier 1. It wasn't to be for them then, but tonight they will be hoping to really propel Shazoo up the order a little bit. Tony is their teammate. Tony Reish tonight will do what they can do. An invalidation, unfortunately, for Dirk as he goes across the line. It would have been enough, not enough to take over from pole position, currently sitting Quantum. IRT Nick is slightly down. Tiago is down into third, but let's see what Thomas Covers can do through the last chicane now into the start finish straight, not taking the optimal line. It's pretty much, wow, look at that between Thomas Covers and IRT Nick. Look how close they are. Lifebout, what can they do as they come round the hairpin now for their first qualifying lap time, but that looks like a really slow lap time. I don't think they are going to be going any faster through there. Ryder Dahl then, what can Ryder Dahl do? Driver with a lot of pedigree is Ryder Dahl, so they'll be hoping for a very big qualifying here to help ET8 close down the gap to Zhizou at the top of the board at the moment, with just a few rounds of the season remaining. But there goes Lafferty, goes quickest of all, a 1:08.523. The track will ramp up and obviously grip up the more the qualifying session goes on. 12 minutes and 37 seconds remaining as we wait to see what Ryder Dahl can do as they head towards the final chicane, hopping over the curb as best they can. Again, back end stepping out, keeping as close to that outside line as possible. They did 2 laps. They did a second installation lap and did a 1:08.406 for this occasion. Devan, I believe, could be on a lap, but no, has invalidated. Gavroche then has invalidated at a very odd point. It turns, midway through 8 and 9, which is not ideal for them. Who else could we go on board with? I was just going to go on board with Pepin, and they've gone 6th fastest overall. So we do have Ollie Hornby, who's maybe just about to start a lap time. I don't believe we'll have anyone else set laps. Is Gavroche? Actually, Gavroche may they do a second installation lap and see what they can do. Actually, no, they won't, because that's a very fast first lap, a 1:08.7. So that's going to be, I doubt, a quick lap. We'll just stay on board just to see, but I believe we'll be going on board with Ollie Hornby very, very quickly as we just see Gavroche sector time. It's not competitive really as things stand. So Ollie Hornby has invalidated their outlap, which is fine to do, but let's see how they will hold up with the pressure of a full lap down into turn 1 for the Haas driver at the moment. The other Haas car, Aaron, the teammate for tonight, is just coming out of the pits at a similar time. There's loads of yellow flags kicking and stalling at the moment as Quantum is now exiting the pits as well. But Ollie Hornby, a 19.4 is a good start for their qualifying for the first sector. Let us know with the poll in the chat who you think is going to take pole position for the Canadian Grand Prix, whether it's going to be a Zhizou, a VNT, or even an ET8 pole sitting tonight. ET8 currently have the advantage with Ryder Dahl up there, but Lifebout only managing a 1:32. Really struggling at the moment and into the pits for Lifebout on this occasion. But Ollie Hornby then through the hairpin and down the back straight, down the casino straight, as there could very well be a lap that isn't up to scratch for Ollie Hornby. The weaving down that back straight indicates that very much a case of not on a push lap, as Dirk and Tony Reish are really struggling to get things hooked together at the moment. Let's go on board. I believe it's going to be, maybe it's Tony. That'll be the first driver to set a lap time in qualifying for the Zhizou Cedar Igniters team, who are languishing down in 12th and 13th without setting a lap time at the moment. And across the line for Tony Reish, and it is quickest of all, a 1:08.222. All the twos. Dirk has invalidated. Ollie Hornby managing a 1:14 with their first time. I'm assuming Ollie is going to be doing another lap now. 2 seconds quicker. They're 2 seconds quicker going into the hairpin and through that sector split time. So this will be good for Ollie. See what they can do as they go down the back straight for, their first major lap time in this one. A 1:14, not really representative as they're coming through across the line for Ollie Hornby. Where is this going to stick for them? It's up into 5th place, a 1:08.689, which is very representative at the moment. Whereas Ortiz then into the hairpin, yet to set a lap time in this qualifying session. So a lot of pressure starting to build for these drivers and they're pulling over to that the left-hand side of the track, right-hand side of the screen, indicating that they won't be going any quicker. Aaron invalidated their lap time. What about Jonas? Jonas, QRT driver, into the first real chicane and coming through the DRS detection point, and then into the chicane of the second sector, and heading down this back straight. DRS wide open into the chicane of turns 8 and 9, looking relatively solid for the pace at the moment for the QRT driver. Into the hairpin, there's a Haas going majorly wide. I assume that would be Ollie Hornby, maybe going to go and fly and give a tow to their teammate as they come through the hairpin, but we won't worry about that. We'll worry about Jonas and their time as they hurtle forwards towards the final chicane for their lap time. Still loads of yellow flags flying around. Lafiti, I think, up into third place with their lap time. No, sorry, Lafiti isn't up into third place. They were going through. Here's Devan as we have Aaron flying up the order. Devan up into 14th. Have we got anything on the board for Dirk yet? No, Dirk is invalidated again. Gavroche at the hairpin. What can they do as they continue on down now the Casino Straight? A little kink there is turn 11 of this long back straight into turns 12 and 13. Gavroche then across the line for the VNT team up into 6th place. So VNT showing good hands again this evening. Lifebout, have you been able to produce anything at the moment? I don't think they have. An invalidation really struggling through pace at the moment. Maxim down on their lap time. Up to Dom, who I think could be going slow. So I think we're at a stage where drivers, as Lafiti is up into 2nd place. Apologies for missing that one. So they've gone a little bit quicker. Pepin slightly up on their lap time as well, slightly down on their lap time. 0.2 of a second down, nearly 0.3. It's that quick this time around of asking. Enough to throw them right back into the mix for P5 as cars darting out of their way, not wanting to give any slipstream to the IRT driver with their teammate Nick up into 4th place. What can Pepin do? Will they be taking too much curb? They won't. That's a perfect angle, pretty much, it seems, from the broadcast camera. And up into 4th place. That's a very, very solid lap time from both IRT drivers. Could they be ones to watch this evening? We'll have to wait and see. Will Lifebout, though, be able to set a lap time this time? They are flooding into the pits on this occasion. Where is Tony Reish? 6/10 down on this lap time. They're still hammering it through. An interesting strategy from Tony Reish, using those soft tyres up to completely as the back end really stepping out at the hairpin and not having the best of lucks. What can Tony do, though? It looks like they are pushing. Is this pushing to get back into the pits, or it is pushing to get back into the pits? We've got, I don't think, any other drivers going on a lap as things stands. There's the van throwing themselves in. So we've got a little break in proceedings while this is going on. And let's, while this is happening, with no drivers yet to go through, let's just remind ourselves of the situation here this evening. Shazoo really, really need something a bit special on this end of the scale just to really settle in and keep things steady right now. At the top of the standings, only less than 30 points separating between it as things stand. But as we know all too well, anything can change, and anything generally does change. And with only 3 rounds remaining here in competitive speed series, with 3 minutes 28 seconds of qualifying remaining, we've got Canada, Britain and Australia to end things here at this season. Back to the action on track, And we've got a car out on the lap. And that is our current pole sitter, Tony Reich. As they are looking, well, they will be desperate to try and extend that advantage they seem to have on 1 lap pace. But Lafiti has narrowed the gap. Ryder Dahl didn't seem like they were able to. Unfortunately for Dirk, yet to set a lap time, a competitive one either for Lifebout, the 2 ET8 drivers. The second of the ET8 and Shizou drivers, not saying that they are the second driver, it's just they're the second on the timing board on that left-hand side of the screen. Tony Reich then. It does look like it's getting a little darker here in Canada, in Montreal, but at the moment, no signs of rain. It just looks like it's overcast and cloudy, which will cool the track temperatures a little bit, which may indicate why drivers are going for that second installation, or the second installation lap, just to get them the tyre temps to the right amount. But here comes Tony Reich then for what should be their final lap time into turn 1, hopping over the curb nicely there for the Shizou Cedar Ignitis driver as they keep to the curbs to the minimum, as again what they would call an esports line. And look at that, using as much as a track as possible. Shizou on the pole, saying 47% of you are indicating that Tony will be on pole position, or Shizou will be on pole position. It's looking likely to be Tony, is at the moment lap time is looking very, very good. Up in the first sector. What is it in the second sector? It's up. It's getting eagerly close, anticipating to go into the 107s. If any driver can, it'll be them, Lafiti or Ryder Dahl, from the pace that we've seen so far. But Ryder Dahl a little bit off at the moment. But it's not about them. It's about Lafiti and Tony Reich at the moment. Into the final chicane for Tony Reich. Not invalidating. That's a good sign for Shizou. And across the line for Tony Reich, it's a 108.1. So it's slightly up. Lafiti has invalidated somewhere along the lines. If this is Quantum, has invalidated as well. It would have been slightly quicker, but they have slammed the brakes on. So there is a Ferrari coming down. A big lock up there, so it's the other Ferrari that would be in the way. So maybe an invalidation there. It's another Williams. Gavroche, then maybe they've invalidated. This is becoming a little bit of a car park towards the end of this. And lots of invalidations through here. Oh my goodness me, what is going on? Right, Dom is definitely on a lap time. Into sector 1, they're down on their lap. That's not ideal for them. Tiago up into 6th place then, as we just try and see. Lifebout 116 for the time being. They're setting a lap time in just to get them set, but Dom has invalidated there as well. Quantum, I think, maybe slamming on the brakes, maybe to go again. I'm not 100% sure. But out of the qualifying is Aaron, who's crashed somewhere. There looks like there's a crash on the Ferrari side as well, or is that a retirement in the pits? A retirement in the pits for Quantum. Lafiti then is going to be through this final bit and across the line for... Oh no, it won't be any good for Lafiti. An invalidation from Ryder Dahl. This is a very... somber end, I suppose, to qualifying, because drivers just not able to hook it up. Loads of invalidations. Jonas, I think, is not going any faster either. Can we have anything from Dirk? No, Dirk is invalidated again and will be starting at the back of the grid. Ortiz will be starting to down there as well. Lifebout throwing themselves provisionally into 13th place at the stage through there. Devan, are you doing anything? No, an invalidation. No front wing to that Aston Martin as well. So qualifying has just ended in a little bit of a simper. It's not really gone out and thrown at us here in Australia, not Canada, sorry. But Tony Reich has, well, produced a very good lap time, nearly a 10th of a second quicker than Lafiti and Ryder Dahl, a fair way off, just not able to hook a lap together. So penalties could be a cause to concern for some of the drivers here this evening, but we'll have to wait and see how it will all pan out. Nice and steady from Tony, setting the lap time of a 108.171 to claim pole position here tonight as Ortiz is into the pits. Lafitte on the front row of the grid, the VNT driver with Tony Reish in second place there, and VNT will be very happy with their driver on the front row of the grid. Then the ET8 driver of Ryder Dahl on the second row of the grid in third place. And let's just have a proper rundown here. Ryder Dahl in third, fourth to Pepin, IRT Nick in fifth. That's a great lap time for Nick and the IRT team, both of them up towards the top. Tiago in sixth, seventh to Quantum, eighth to Gavroche, and Ollie Hornby in ninth. And rounding out the top 10 is Thomas Covers. Then you've got Dom, Jonas, Lifebout, Maxim, Aaron, Devan, Ortiz, and Dirk. And yeah, it's just one massive Shazoo sandwich. This is unfortunate, really, for Shazoo team. As we look at this, it's a great position for Tony Reish, and if they finish in first place, then brilliant. That's exactly what they need to do, and they'll have an advantage over ET8 because they are finishing first and getting all that momentum. There's no restart. We don't need a restart, which is a good thing. But Dirk, just seeing in the chat, A saying Shazoo on top and last, ETA not high either. So it's an interesting one. But yeah, Dirk invalidated the final chicane 3 times. Such a shame for Dirk. A very good driver when on their day, so not sure. Not sure what the problem for Dirk was for that chicane, but it can be very, very tricky. Looking like probably a medium hard setup, or hard medium. That seems to be the way to go through this season or this game cycle, which can be a bit of a problem. And let's have a look just at the standings again for this one. 29 points separating Shazoo and ET8 Esports there at the top of the standing. Then with 300 points, Ventari, who just seem to be in the middle of no man's land right now as things stand. And, well, we'll have to wait and see how it will all pan down for them. I don't think they can claim top spot anymore with the way the point system here is. It would be some monumental effort and points deduction probably towards the Shazoo and ET8 team to make it possible for them. FRT then only 5 points ahead of Team TF10, with QRT just a few points behind, making it very tasty for the 4th, 5th and 6th place positions. But FRT and TF10 so close together. It's a great battle there. Then you've got IRT and AMR there, separated by 8 points. But with IRT qualifying so high up, that's done them a world of good. And the AMR team need a little bit of luck. Currently 11th and 14th in the qualifying positions. Ollie Hornby, though, in the Haas, throwing themselves up into 9th place, will be a great story for the AMS team. If they can keep this up, keep the pressure, they could still get into the 7th and 8th position if they keep going the way they are. But we are getting very, very, very shortly towards the race here in Canada. As well, we will just quickly remind you what races we've got left of the season. So tonight is the Canadian Grand Prix, which is round 10. Then we've got 2 rounds remaining. Next week, we're off to Great Britain, the Silverstone Grand Prix, one of the most historic circuits on the calendar throughout. And then you're finishing off the season at Australia, where usually we would see the start of the season at either Australia or Baku, but we are not Baku, sorry, but we are going racing for five red lights here in Canada, and it's away we go, and it looks like a pretty good start from Tony, which will keep that position nice and tight as they looking going through. Ryder Dahl's desperate to go for the inside of that corner, but then it's the outside for turn 2, which makes it a little bit more difficult to get the power down as they head towards the first chicane proper, as that just allows Lafitte that little bit extra of a gap. And there's someone going very, very slow there. Who is that? That is Tiago holding up the drivers behind because of maybe a mistake through there, and it's allowed the IRT, both drivers, to push on through a little bit. Just behind, Gavroche is trying to get back past Quantum for the battle for P7, as desperately trying to find a way through. There's a little bit of contact, and then the Ferrari of AMR Dom trying to get through, and somehow Quantum, for the time being, holds station, but it's three wide as they head on through to the hairpin, and it's allowed Tiago to pull away a little bit as they go on through, but Lafitte is leading the way. Is nearly lost the DRS range to Tony Reich behind, but look at this. This is a huge battle going into the final chicane. There's contact between Lifeboat into the wall. Lifeboat has retired. That's a big moment. A Ferrari's heading off. I think Ollie Hornby's got problems. It's a yellow flag. Surely it's a safety car. There is the safety car, as we will finally get the tyres up. Tiago on the mediums there. But my goodness me. It's all, well, neutralised, let's say, because of that safety car. Let's have a look at what damage there are on track. Lifeboat out of this race. No front wing to Maxim. Is there damage to Ollie Hornby's car? I don't believe there is from the looks of things. There could be some superficial damage. Let's have a look at the other. That's the other AMS driver with no front wing, which is not ideal. That looks fine. Jonas's car looks fine, but it has just allowed Lafitte and Tiago and Quantum that little bit of the impetus to get themselves back into the swing of things, because they'd started losing the DRS range through that. Do we see any pits? Anyone from the top pitting? No. Tony doesn't. Do we see? Now everyone deciding against pitting, which is possibly for the best for these guys. But I say everyone. Gavroche, I think, has front wing damage. Let's have a look. Aaron going into the pits as well, obviously, for theirs. As catching up with the chat. Apologies, Smeg, I did not see that in time. And a 52 brake bias is not good. Yep, nope, that's pretty understandable. And I'm guessing that's on the Ollie Hornby side of things. Aaron there on front wing change, and everyone getting a front wing change that has gone into the pits. Aaron, I don't want to say could go to the end, but they are in a better position than the cars ahead. So we'll have to wait and see how that one will run down and continue on. And, well, lap 3 of 35. First yellow car, first safety car, and the yellow flags are waving throughout the track because of it. And, well, we'll have probably safety car for another lap. 35 laps of here in Canada, so it's going to be a little bit of a challenge for these guys to get back through. With it to, well, I'm saying to get back through. Aaron, Dirk and Maxim to get to the end of the Grand Prix. Now, let us know in the chat what you would do if you're Tiago, because obviously on those mediums they're going to have a little bit of rubber burnt from them. And would you have stayed out? Would you have decided to go into the pits? It's a bit of an interesting one to say the least, as Lafitte trying to just remind Tony that they're there. It's interesting, the IRT, both drivers not doing anything special. Dirk pitting for the hard, so they're going to be a very interesting customer for these guys towards the end. Ryder Dahl going up the inside of Lafiti there into turn number 6 through all this. But yeah, thank you, Siab there, thinking to stay out if you're the Alpine, the TF10 driver of Tiago. Obviously for the drivers that had front wing damage, it's best to stay out. To go in and get that front wing change, because you can lose an awful lot of time with the front wing damage here. But thankfully, no penalties come in yet. Lap 4:35, the AMR driver of Maxim getting to the back end of the grid, which means the safety car will be free to go. Be interesting to see when Tony decides to put the hammer down. They're going to go very slow. They become the de facto safety car at this point, heating those hard compound of tyres back up just to get them to a good temperature, just racing temperature, and then we'll let the safety car hop into the pit lane, which they're in now. The safety car is in the pits, so Tony Reish can decide to go whenever they want from this point. Will they wait till after the chicane or during the chicane? Well, only Tony will know, as through the chicane they go and have bolted, but it hasn't really caught Lafiti out at all, and Ryder Dahl close on the heels to the VNT driver, just ahead of them. And at the moment, it's all single file still as they continue to battle through for the time being. Aaron with a 3-second time penalty. That's not ideal for the AMS team, and with everything so close at the moment, that will knock them outside of the points. Nick picking up a penalty. That's not ideal for the driver in 5th place, and that will cost them big time. That must have been through that first chicane, and I did mention that penalties could be a problem here tonight, and I think it will be indeed. Cost a lot of drivers some big points. Tiago meaning, well, with that penalty, it means Tiago will pop into 5th place if they stay as they are. Dirk still stuck behind AMS Aaron for the battle for P15 and the last point scoring position here in competitive speed series, and just behind there's a big battle going on between Ortiz and Devan, and it looks like the Alpine has got the better of the RB, and Gavroche trying to get through as well on the fresher rubber to the inside of Devan and into, oh goodness me, that's going to be very tight through the wall of champions, and Tony fastest of all, and just in the background Dirk finally getting past Aaron as well. Front wing flying off Devan's car, which is not ideal, as still fighting away is Dirk and Aaron. This is going to be very tight through the chicane, and having to take avoiding action was Dirk there, going off at turns 3 and 4. Ooh, that's very close between the two of them, and Dirk really needs some power down to help, as there comes the Ferrari of Maxim getting past Dirk and now attacking Aaron just ahead, and the Ferrari driver having to snip behind, and Aaron picking up a 3-second penalty for their troubles. Is there damage on the front end of that Shizou car? I'm not sure, but just ahead, Devan being passed by Ollie Hornby into the hairpin of the front wing damage to the RB car has cost them through there, and Tony has. Smeg is right, Tony's absolutely dispatched of them so far. Aaron's still causing some big problems as Devan picking up a penalty for their troubles. The Ferrari of Maxim finally being repassed by Shizou Dirk, as Dirk continues the battle on. No points for ET8 for Lifebout this evening, which means that any points Dirk can get will just pile on the points advantage, and up the inside of Devan. Dirk there making a late move, and that is exactly what they needed to do, and that's a very great, well, a very reminiscent of a Daniel Ricciardo dive bomb. Smooth, calm and collected from the Shizou driver, and into the points finally for Dirk, and now we'll hunt down Aaron for some more fun, I'm sure, for Dirk as we go towards a little bit up the field. Let's have a look at Lafiti. This is a yellow flag somewhere. Oh, that is just continued from the safety car, I believe. As Lafiti, will they hold on to second? They will hold on to second for the time being and pull away, as Nick is doing a good job of just keeping Pepin involved in a good fight along here. AMR Dom up into 7th place. A good little battle there as Dirk finally dispatches of Aaron on this lap, but Aaron's going to fight back as they head on through all this. I think Aaron is happily just behind the Ferrari of Maxim, trying to get through as well, as I want to go back onto the battle for second place. I think I'm going to have to, because Ryder Dahl is all over the back of Lafiti, and Tony Reish has got that 2.1 second gap over Ryder Dahl, and Ryder Dahl really needs to dispatch the VNT driver to keep ET8's hope of this championship alive. Rain is incoming. Rain is inbound as well, and drivers just squabbling away like anything. This is such a solid performance. AMR Dom can't keep up with Quantum for the time being, and Quantum being held up by the two IRT drivers. Quantum is going to be desperate to get through and make positions through all this. But Ryder Dahl dispatching of Lafiti finally, as closing in on Tony Reish, as Lafiti doesn't really have the pace to keep up with Ryder Dahl by the looks of things at the moment, as Ryder Dahl looking like they have full pace right now, because they are hounding Tony Reish. Jonas getting past Tiago. The rain is coming very, very shortly, as Ollie Hornby in 13th place. 3 seconds behind Autism. We may have to have a look at that, because the battle is up. Oh, Maxim trying desperately to force their way up the inside of AMS Aaron, and it just wasn't to be. Neither for Dirk, and Pepin and Nick swapping positions just to help the situation for that. There goes Dirk up into 13th place. Ollie Hornby picking up a 3 second time penalty for their trouble with that position lost as well. Quantum and Dom swapping positions as well. What has happened to Quantum and, Dom's getting back involved in things. Quantum trying to keep the inside line as they come through this first chicane, and it's very, very tight. But AMR Dom getting the points, getting the position done, and now looking at the two IRT drivers ahead. AMR Maxim 3 second penalty for their troubles. Just behind, Thomas and Jonas swapping positions, with Gavroche just ahead and holding up Ortiz to the best of their ability. But I think Jonas could lose that position, as Thomas Covers struggling. Oh, look at that. That's very, very tight between the two, and Jonas will pick up a warning for that, definitely from the race stewards. But where is Ortiz in all this? Ortiz has dropped behind Dirk. Dirk has, they're squabbling away. Dirk has got, Dirk another position. Ortiz has left the session, so I think there's definitely a problem there, as the two McLarens swapping positions again as they head down the start and finish straight to start their next lap. Thomas Covers and Tiago just swabbling away, as I think there may be a little bit of a desync there, because drivers are all over the place. Ortiz and Maxim into the pits. That could be what was causing the problems. The AI has pitted Ortiz and Tiago. Oh, goodness me. Poor Ortiz, poor Tiago, because if rain is coming, that's not really what you want to be doing. But Ryder Dahl back up to the front, has chased down that 2 second gap that Tony Reish had produced, and Tony now has company for the first time in a little while as they head towards the hairpin. Still 0.7 of a second, but this long straight with the DRS open should close the gap a little bit. And the DRS will be still in full effect, but look at Lafiti, just 4 seconds in front of Nick, but still struggling to keep up with these two, because these two are absolutely run the race perfectly right now. Tony Reich, 0.3 of a second ahead then, holding out possibly to the rain. It is getting darker here. As they still battle on. The van picks up a 3-second time penalty, but that could be down to having to struggle with that front damage that they've got. Let's look at Dom, because this battle for Ortiz has rejoined, thankfully, but the battle for P4, the two IRT drivers are doing a really good job of just working together to keep those two positions as their own, and fair play to them tonight, because that will do a lot of work for their points scoring and their positions in the standings. Into the hairpin they go. Looking at the mini-map, where is Ryder Dahl? Not catching too much to Tony Reich ahead, but into the next bit could be where we need to watch the action unfold as they head through that final chicane. Tony gets a much better drive out of it and then pulls away, so should hold up into the first, as there's a positional swap there by Thomas Covers and Gavroche through it all. But again, nothing for AMR Dom. Dom desperately trying to find a way through the two IRT drivers. It's not happening at the moment. Thomas Covers is 2.4 seconds behind all that. Dirk up into 10th place, dispatching drivers quite well. And the Shizou driver getting some big points now on the board. But when you do something like that, getting a 3-second time penalty is major. But thankfully for them, they have got enough of a buffer for everything around. Towards the hairpin goes Ryder Dahl then, and actually let's have a look at this, because this is much closer than Ryder Dahl has been to Tony Reich as they went into the hairpin, and this time for Ryder Dahl they could dispatch of the Shizou driver on this time around to the inside. Nope, thinks better of it, waits for this time around. But they're further back, and is that spots of rain? That is spots of rain. Oh, goodness me. It is time. Gavroche did get dispatched by Dirk in the end, but into the pits. But let's have a look at Ryder Dahl and Tony Reich then. What can they do? The rain is starting to come down here in Canada, and this is going to be interesting. Who can hold on to their tyres the better, but you look at Ryder Dahl just slipping away a little bit from Tony Reich this time around. As into the pits, Gavroche that went into the pits is on a set of intermediate tyres. So that's an interesting call. Let's have a look at the leader. This is going to be giving us the best option of what's the fastest tyre. Ortiz into the pits, Quantum with a 3-second time penalty. Lafiti dropping back, as I think Gavroche is losing time on those intermediate tyres. Yes, they're colder and not really ready. Thomas Covers and Dirk swapping positions at the hairpin. It looks like there's a little bit of contact between them as well, as trying to keep things stable is a lot easier said than done, but with, well, especially with the rain coming down, but the time isn't dropping. It is still increasing between Gavroche and Tony Reich, so I would say the hards are still the tyres to be on right now, but it's staying about the same at the moment. It's going to be in the twisty circuit part of the circuit, which is going to be its major points. But with Ryder Dahl staying out and Tony staying out, they've got a little bit of a gap, so they can blink if they need to. But Dirk could make some big positions here. Gavroche still losing time to Tony Reich. It's 32.6 seconds, and it started the lap at 32 seconds. So I think there's still pits a little bit too early. 32.3 though. Gavroche could be coming in. Ooh, look at that from Dirk. Back end snapping at turn 9. So now is the time. And look at that. Tony has managed to find better grip than the rest. And through Dirk goes, but a struggle. This is just the Shizou Dirk's show right now as we saw them struggle through the hairpin. Struggling through, oh goodness me, Aaron really struggling through the hairpin. Ryder Dahl and Tony Reich pitting and swapping positions because of it. Let's see what 5th place man. They do go into the pits. So let's go on board with the driver that pitted earliest of them all, and that's Gavroche. Will they have positional advantage over Dirk or not? This is going to be big for Gavroche as they come towards turn 1. This is going to be really tight between Gavroche and Dirk. Dirk is at the end of the pit lane. Dirk was behind Gavroche before this and went 2 laps longer and has overcut Gavroche by a, I don't want to say huge margin, but that's a good 1.5 seconds, and they were stuck behind. Now's the time for intermediate tyres, but I don't think it was a few laps ago as the DRS disabled sign has finally kicked in, and Gavroche will be disappointed that they are back. Well, I say back, they are that far behind Dirk, and Dirk is now on a mission to try and catch IRT Pippin, who had to double stack, had a choice of double stacking or pitting a lap later than Nick, and I think going the lap later worked for Dirk, but not the McLaren driver, or the IRT driver, who's just a second up the road and now 1.5 seconds behind Quantum Nick, and the Ferrari of AMR Dom squabbling away. But no, Dom couldn't make the move stick into turn 12 and through 13. Nick gets a good run and heads on down to try and catch Lafitte, who's actually had a pretty poor couple of laps in the wet. And Nick is catching. So the battle for the final podium's position is not over yet, as Dirk still has Thomas Covers for company. But I think some of these drivers are just not fully equipped their setup to the rain. Yeah, it's been an entertaining look at that through there. AMR Dom, desperate to make the move stick, back end stepped out and hit Nick off the racing line a little bit there. A little bit of an argy-bargy moment. Elbows out for the AMR driver, but up into 4th place for the time being. And now Quantum trying to catch up there as well. No DRS to assist Ryder Dahl now. And they are going to have to find the best way to dispatch of Tony Reich in different circumstances. Nick is now 1 second behind Dom, who's a second in front of Quantum, who's 2.3 seconds in front of this driver, Pepin, as Dirk is trying to find a way through up into, well, Dirk can get up into 7th place, but he does have that penalty to their name, which could cost them big time. But if they can get through and pull away, Dirk could see some really big points for them on this occasion, as we will just quickly see what messages from that. It's not ideal, but Pepin still holding station at the moment with Dirk just behind, and Dirk trying to find a way through. Gavroche has found a way through Thomas Covers, as Ryder Dahl is now 2 seconds behind Tony Reich. Struggled somewhere, must have lost a bit of time, and Tony Reich has capitalised on this. But here comes Pepin. Here comes Dirk on Pepin. 3/10 of a second. They're both pulling away from Gavroche, though, so that could help the IRT driver in their point hunt this evening. But where will Dirk again up the inside, braking so late? A little bit of contact with them, and the IRT driver and Dirk had to pull in behind, and oh my goodness, ET8 Ryder Dahl has picked up a 3-second time penalty, and that allows a little bit of breathing room for the other Shazoo driver of Tony Rocher, who's leading this Grand Prix. No way through for Dirk, and then all of a sudden Gavroche is catching back up with the Shazoo driver. Yes, on older tyres, but Dirk has been caught behind Pepin for a little while now, which will have started to wear on those intermediate front tyres a little bit. The more you are behind the car ahead and in the slipstream, the more damage the tyres are going to receive. But here we go. AMR Dom has left the session, and that is gutting and heart-wrenching for the AMR driver, who managed to get themselves up into a great position here into 4th place, but looks like they could drop down the order a little bit. What can Dirk do, though? Because this is a battle that we're sticking on board with for the time being. Quantum caught back up with Nick, as we are just waiting to see how that will pan out. That 19 of 35, a switchback available for Pepin maybe, but no, not on this occasion. And Dirk up into 7th place as they are fighting their way through and finding their way up into turns 12 and 13. And I don't know, but the rain doesn't look like it's as hard as it's still coming down. It just doesn't look as hard as it was before. 8 seconds slower that lap than their fastest lap. That's how much the rain is affecting them at the moment. It's been well, quite a recovery drive for Dirk at the moment, even with that 3-second time penalty to their name. Dispatching of Pepin now, had to, because Gavroche has caught back up with it as they've pulled away from Thomas Covers and P10. Let's see what they can do against Pepin, the IRT driver. Dirk had a lot of trouble dispatching. Let's see if Gavroche will. Quantum and Nick swapping positions as they head through the hairpin. Let's see what the other IRT driver has, because they've got some trouble defending, but the straight line speed looked like it's sticking with Quantum at the moment. This is... Oh, goodness me. Into the wall for the both of them. Oh, my goodness me. There goes the rest, and that's going to be real frustration. Real frustration for both Quantum and Nick in both good positions. There's more contact between the two of them, cutting back onto the track, and that's Thomas Covers in a little bit of controversy here. Oh my goodness me. Both drivers with front wing damage, and Thomas Covers just can't find a way through. Aaron with a penalty. There goes Thomas Covers up the inside, flying up the inside. There's a little bit more contact between, this time, Nick and Thomas Covers, and still the McLaren can't find a way through. And this is so difficult for both drivers with damage to control the car through this wet weather. But no way through at the moment. Well, no more late lunges, no more craziness. But Dirk up into 4th place, and ET8, well, that's a problem for them as we continue watching at the moment. See if anything will happen as they head into the pit lane, surely to get front wing replaced. Both drivers in. There we go. Lap on board with... Can we do a lap on board with Tony, please? Do you want broadcast, or I might have to... let's just ensure nothing is going to happen between Gavroche and Pepin. The battle for P5, because Gavroche is battling with Pepin quite hard. We know that is the big, well, one of the big talking points. Dirk pulling away from this as well. Dirk needs to keep on pulling away because Gavroche is looking relatively quick in this wet weather. Oh, Dom's Wi-Fi is gone. That is gut-wrenching for Dom, who's currently in 7th place. If they can get the Wi-Fi back up, they've still got a good chance of some good points for the AMR team. We'll have to wait. What is going on? But Gavroche, let's see how Gavroche continues to squabble away with the IRT driver up ahead. Pulls to the inside. towards the chicane, but there's just not enough pace. The DRS would have been useful there, but it's not on this occasion. And again, just the back end slides a little bit, but they're closing to the outside, then into the first corner, but goes wide, which allows Pippin to have a little bit of an attack back, but the VNT driver was put the power down. But look at the straight line speed that the IR3 car has is insane. There's still some more side-by-side action. This is great stuff between the two of them. And finally, Gavroche gets the move done and up into 5th place, but 3.8 seconds towards Dirk, nearly 4 seconds, and that is the sheer damage that is done to Gavroche and their hunt for some big scores with their teammate Lafitte. But still up into 5th, which is good point scoring position for them, and now pulling away from Pepin in P6 as it's looking good for them at the moment as things stand. Apologies, just trying to get my the stream back up on my phone just to ensure I don't miss anything. But look at that, 1.2 seconds now between Pepin and Gavroche, and let's give what the audience want, which is a bit of Tony Riche and their incredible pace that they are producing here this evening in the wets. 4.7 seconds in front of Ryder Dahl. You can see some of the dry lines and the wet lines. It's still raining heavily. Look at all the tyre marks there. I didn't think we had that much of an issue. But some screeching, some just sheer car control at the moment for Tony, and some incredible pace down this back straight. 4.8 seconds quicker, taking the curbs beautifully. Lap 24 of 35. You've only lost one driver. That's Lifebout when they lost it to the Wall of Champions, I believe. Let's just continue a little bit more on with the race leader with 11 laps to go. That's Ollie and Dom swapping away, but that is because of the AI-ness of AMR Dom. Ollie Hornby, though, up into 8th place. That's good position for Ollie Hornby, who is now being trying to be re-overtaken by the AI. That wouldn't have worked for Ollie Hornby, I don't think. I don't think they would have liked that. Thiago. There is nice and steady through there. So we've got a little bit of a lull. Let's have a look. Oh, that's Nick and Quantum squabbling away still for P12 now. Such a shame for these two, because they were up battling 4th and 5th. Good old squabble, but it just went the wrong way, and Quantum just can't find that grip through the exit of turn 4, so falling away a little bit to IRT Nick on this occasion, but I think has an overall race pace advantage over the IRT driver. Just can't get close enough at the time being. I said I thought the rain was easing up. I think it was for a little while. It's now getting heavier, which is could be problematic. I know drivers don't want to go on a set of full wets, but they could have to at this point just to get things done and dusted, because this could be problematic for a lot of the drivers. Ryder Dahl is now 6 seconds behind Tony. Tony is absolutely flying. I think Dirk is slowly catching Lafitte ahead. Gavroche is now 3.1, so catching Dirk for the battle for P4. That's a second gained in a couple of laps. So maybe Dirk is just holding station at the moment. Ortiz picking up a 3-second time penalty for their trouble. There we go. Let's have a look at this. The penalty situation. As I say that, Devan up 15 seconds worth of penalties for them. So Ortiz may still be able to get some points with the penalty situation for Aaron at the moment, up to 9 seconds for the AMS driver. So the TF driver can try and pick up some good points for them this evening. Quantum there in 13th with 3 second time penalty to their name, as Nick just ahead has a 6-second time penalty to their name. So Nick can just, or Quantum can just stick behind for the time being. Jonas just catching up with Dom for the time being. The AI Dom with 3 second time penalty. They need to dispatch and get through as we head on and continue on through for the time being. Pepin up into 6th place. Now falling away quite rapidly from Gavroche. The battling, I think, just kept them motivated, but all of a sudden it's just lost a little bit there. Let's have a look at Ollie Hornby, because Ollie is catching Thomas Covers for the battle for P7, but Ollie has a problem, and that is 9 seconds worth of penalties to their name. Let's have a look at positional changes for this race. Nick, Quantum down 7 and 6 places respectively. There, Tallego down 5, which is not ideal for them. Covers up into up 3, and there's Dom getting through at the time being. But Dirk, the biggest winner of all, up 14 places. Gavroche up 3, Pepin down 2 as well. Lafiti and Ryder Dahl swapping, so 1 up and 1 down because of their positional starts of this Grand Prix. Lifebout is our only race retiree in this one, down 5 seconds, 5 positions from where they started, but they have not raced since the start of this one. Really, it feels like, as they retired on lap 2 or even lap 1. There's the pit stops for these guys at the moment. Maxim with the most pits for them, and Ortiz doing that extra pit stop under the safety car, under the AI'dness for them, which isn't ideal, as it's not ideal for them at the moment. But the rain is still persisting here in Montreal, as Ollie Hornby tries to dispatch Thomas Covers, and Ollie is racing pretty well here at the moment. So this could be a nice haul of points for the AMS team. So with lap 29 through with us, and just looking at the intervals, the Tony Riche has dispatched beautifully of the situation of Ryder Dahl, who looked like they were going to catch at one stage, especially in the dry, but in the wet, no one has had an answer for Tony Riche. On lap 29 now of 35, so 7 laps remaining for this one, and Tony Riche has just absolutely been a level ahead, but Ollie Hornby dropping away a little bit. But I would love to hear what your driver of the day is in the chat. I know we've still got a few laps to go and anything can happen, but yeah, driver of the day situation would be great to have people's opinion on, because Dirk's raced up through the field. You've had, well, Tony Riche, who's just been a class above the rest, or has it been Pepin with their defensive driving, stopping Gavroche and Dirk from being too racy and getting through? It's been a great race in the midfield this evening, especially when Tony Riche has been so dominant. 10 seconds, oh, mistake there from Thomas Covers, and it could allow Ollie Hornby a little run on them as they head towards turns 8 and 9. Not on this occasion, but close this time from Ollie Hornby. Thiago being dispatched by Nick, and that should allow Quantum in with the mix as well. But I don't know if Ollie Hornby is going to make a move. I don't think so on this occasion. Ollie nearly careers into the back. That's good save there, as Thiago holding up Quantum now as they head on through. I'm just going to keep an eye on the time for Ollie Hornby as well. Quantum dives to the inside of Thiago and does not want to let Thiago dictate their pace, and now they will have their eyes set firmly on Nick ahead again. And here, yeah, nothing for Ollie Hornby at the moment. Some great defensive and just a defensive power from Thomas Covers, because they're not necessarily being slow, but they're just deploying their ERS at the perfect time, and it's good to see. At the moment, anyway, to say the least, we have nothing sticking for the time being. A Tergo dropping away from Quantum. Let's go back to the penalty situation. And as you can see, as things stand, well, Ollie Hornby will be stuck behind. Well, we'll lose gap to Jonas, or we'll lose a position to Jonas with the penalty situation. But could be some penalties being removed from Ollie Hornby because of maybe some, I don't want to use the word BS penalty warnings, but we do have some issues with the warnings here on the F1 game, as we always have done. But Ollie Hornby struggling through that final chicane and can't get a real run on at Thomas Covers through towards turn 1. Lap 31 of 35, so not long remaining on this one. Lafiti looks like they are actually catching Ryder Dahl, probably not at a rate of the rate that Lafiti would want, but Ryder Dahl just doesn't have an answer to Tony. Tony has been impeccable, well, from start to finish, to be perfectly honest. Since the rain has come down, they have had an absolute extra gear in this one and found a great way through it. There goes Nick, dispatching of the AI of poor AMR Tom, and AMR point scoring would go down the order a little bit, and that was a big hit into the wall there for Nick, which thankfully hasn't cost them too much. And just behind, there goes Quantum, dispatching the Ferrari, as we expected. Jonas is catching. Ollie Hornby and Thomas Covers ahead. This could be some good work for the Aston Martin team, because they're dropping the driver of that's the meat in the sandwich of the two Aston Martins, the two QRT teams, just further into the clutches of QRT Jonas. Jonas pulling to the wetter side of the track just to cool the tyres down that little bit more as they start lap 32 of 35. Ollie Hornby is desperately trying to find a way far, wiggling just to try find any which way to put off the driver in front, but it's not happening at the moment. And Ollie Hornby is just getting caught, and it could be a problem for them come the end of the race. But I do believe they will be happy with 9th place. Overall, some good points for the AMS team, especially with AMR struggling for points this afternoon or this evening. So we continue to watch through. A little bit of a love tap there between the AMS driver and the QRT driver, and nothing too major into turn 6 and 7. Again, pulls to the inside just to try and get some clean air into the radiator ducts to ensure the car doesn't overheat and you don't overheat your engine and then you lose top speed from it all. But the lower wings, the less wings up the inside of the hairpin, getting the car to a stop somehow. A little bit of contact between them, and Ollie Hornby up into 7th place momentarily, but the straight line speed is going to go straight back to Thomas Covers' way because of the lesser wings on the AMS car. The Haas car keeping to the inside, but there goes Thomas Covers again, and Ollie Hornby is going to get fed up of just an Aston Martin. Going to get definitely fed up with an Aston Martin. Aaron being passed by Ortiz up to the inside from Ollie Hornby. That's a very, very solid move into turn 1 and trying to find any which way past Thomas Covers. And this is some good battling between the two of them, but it has allowed Jonas to really get in the swing of things, and this could be problematic for them through it all. Lap 34 of 35, we are at the the penultimate lap of the race, and still no way past the QRT driver, Ollie Hornby just still can't find a way past, which is frustrating for them. Tony Reich, 14 seconds Oh, Gavroche with another 3-second penalty. He's caught back up with Dirk, which isn't ideal, but let's go back to penalty situation just because Gavroche was 6 seconds and Dirk with 3. That doesn't matter, and they're still battling away, but it would be a miss of me not to go on board with Tony Reich for the final bit. Let's just see if Ollie Hornby will try anything into turn 1. I don't think they will do on this occasion. I don't think there is anything they can do. It's a bit of a shame. They haven't been able to show their full pace because they just can't dispatch of Thomas Covers. But it's been a good race for them nonetheless, and they could drop behind IRT Nick with all this. Here is Tony Reich then, just about to start their final lap. Look at that. Look how, I don't want to say look how far they are behind, but look at, they're just stuck behind the AMS driver, who is really struggling for pace through it. No blue, they're not adhering to the blue flags, is AMS Aaron, but it doesn't matter for Tony Reich. Tony Reich is, well, just that much quicker, as AMS Aaron just can't find the same lines and can't compete with the car that has just finished, well, just started their final lap of this Grand Prix. Here is, well, a driver that has just been absolutely incredible from start to finish. Managed the dries perfectly, managed the wets even better, and what more can you say about Tony as AMS Ollie Hornby picking up another 3-second time penalty as Aaron trying to drift around the hairpin. As a great race from the Shazoo Cedar Igniter driver. No one could touch them at all this weekend or this race, and barring a miracle or a crash into the wall of champions, Tony Reich has done fantastically. It's an absolute incredible race for Shazoo, and Tony Reich wins by 15 seconds, which will probably increase to 18 with the 3-second time penalty to Ryder Dahl. It's more 19 now, as Ryder Dahl just can't find any pace against Tony Reich this weekend, and that has just allowed Shazoo to extend at the standings. There's Lafiti as we see the battle for P4 rages on. Gavroche can't find a way through in the end, and they will finish 4th and 5th respectively there. Pepin, not the best of race, finishing 17 seconds in the end behind Gavroche, who they held up quite significantly. Tiago and Maxim still battling away. We have to go on board with that one as it will kick on out. Maybe not. Oh no, down the straight, there we go. Tiago and Maxim still kicking on. Ollie Hornby will drop a fair few positions through this, but this battle is still raging on into the final chicane. Who's going to have the position? It's going to be Maxim on track, but that 3-second time penalty is going to come back and haunt them, and they'll drop behind the TF10 driver in the end, as that is the race over and done with. Maxim finishing 13th in the end, and the other drivers couldn't finish the race because they had already been passed by the leader, and that leader, Tony Richet, has been absolutely imperious this evening and had an incredible drive. As we see the podium celebrations kick on through for the time being. What a race, though, from the driver on top. Tony Reich has been an absolute force to be reckoned with. What a drive. No one could hold him. Ryder Dahl, a driver who has great pace in themselves, just didn't have an answer. As well, driver of the day has gone to Dirk. Fastest lap to Tony. Race winner Tony. Most out of it takes Dirk. And cleanest driver was Pepin in the end. But let's have a look. It is Tony from Ryder Dahl and Lafiti on the podium. Then Dirk, Gavroche, Pepin, Thomas Covers, QRT, Jonas, Quantum, Nick, Ollie Hornby finishing 11th in the end. Tiago in 12th, 13th to Maxim, Dom in 14th and 15th to Waters, with non-point scores to Aaron, Devan and Lifebout this evening. And, well, let's have a look at the calendar, because next week is one of the most historic Grand Prix known to the F1 world, and that is the Silverstone Grand Prix. I mean, what a race. What a... I just, yes, Silverstone is going to be amazing. I very rarely have a race where I don't think I've enjoyed watching Silverstone when it comes to league racing. I'm just trying to think how to round this one off. An early safety car to set things off, and drivers didn't take the risk. The rain was coming in, and some drivers, Gavroche being one of them, pitted early. And people thought it was a bad idea, but it overall worked in their favour. But yeah, Silverstone next time out, that is going to be incredible. Thank you for watching the Canadian Grand Prix here in Competitive Speed Series. I hope you've enjoyed, and we will catch you on Saturday for the PC side of things of the British Grand Prix. And then, before you know it, we will be at the last race of the season. Can Shazoo beat the rest in Britain, or will it come down to Australia? Find out next time out at the British Grand Prix. Thank you and goodbye.